What's going on, everybody?
What's happening?
Welcome to the show. This is LTMB Live, September 21st, Thursday, 2017. What's going on, everybody? Glad to be here. Glad that you're here with us.
We got a lot to talk about,
we got
man.
a whole lot to talk about. Let's bring Facebook in so that they can be with us for a little bit, too. What's going on,
What's
Facebook?
going on, Facebook? Welcome to LTMB Live.
How y'all doing? How's everybody going today? Got a lot to talk about today. Just making sure everything is working well with the stream on Facebook and YouTube.
So if anybody's just joined, let us know how everything looks on y'all's end.
Right.
So we ain't over here looking reckless.
Looking stupid over here. And on Facebook especially, too. Do me a favor. Share this immediately. You know, that's what our whole goal is to branch out, get some more eyes on us, increase the audience, increase the community so that we're able to, facilitate a dialogue. That's what we aim to do. We can't do that without your help. So please, if you would, just share it. And also on Facebook Live too, make sure that you are getting the alerts and notifications that we are live. I know there's a button that you have to click to, that you're alerted, that you get a notification when
Actually,
we get live.
There's one on YouTube as well.
Oh yeah, on YouTube as well. Yeah, that's right.
Because click that bell.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. All right, how you doing, Mike?
I'm good, man. It's just just weird stuff going on today, man. Just weird stuff. Oh, I got blocked by a Facebook page today.
Mike got blocked.
I got blocked.
You must have been stirring up some stuff, man.
Man, you know me. I'm not derogatory.
I just
stirring something up. I'm not derogatory. I'm never trolling anybody. I don't get kicked off of pages. You know I don't do that.
Yeah, I know you don't do that.
You know what I'm saying?
So what'd you do, man?
I didn't do. But all I did was, that video that's going around that shows Black Lives Matter at a Trump rally.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you watch the video, the crowd wasn't very receptive. Not only was the crowd not very receptive, the host of I guess that particular event, or there was probably multiple events, but the host of that particular part of the event was talking about like ignore them, they don't exist. But I guess somebody stepped in and allowed dude to speak.
Right.
Well, most of the people were, let's say, articulating typical bigoted and racist talking points and yelling out stuff. Now they did cheer, but they only cheered when he said things like fuck the politicians and I love America. But as soon as he dipped into that Black Lives Matter grab bag, they booed. So there was a Facebook page called Free Thought Blog or Free Thought Project,
right?
All right, that I follow. So they didn't share the video. What they did was they kind of framed it like, don't let people divide us. The media won't, cover this story of unity at the Trump rally, showing Black Lives Matter, talk on stage and whatnot. So they framed it as something that, like, I guess, showed that everyone's coming together. But what they did not do was show the video. I thought that was kind of suspicious.
So you got something to say about it.
But actually, but what I did was I didn't kind of like, all I said was, why didn't you show the video? I said, I was like, oh, I know why, because the optics of people yelling very racist and bigoted things would kind of throw a wrench in the story. That's kind of what I said. I said exactly what I said to you. Like, just because they were cheering when he said, I love America and fuck politicians doesn't mean he like reach some of those people. The whole kind of they framed it as like the establishment wants us to hate and all this stuff. But I was like, wait a second, the establishment wasn't there telling all those people to yell those racist and bigoted things and tell them to get out of the country, and if you just don't like it, leave. The establishment wasn't forcing those people to hate, and that's all I was pointing out. And then there was a comment under mine that said something about Black Lives Matter being no different than the KKK. I responded to that by saying, how many churches did Black Lives Matter bomb? Basically, just showing it to be stupid. And I actually used this commenter, as an example for the page. I was like, see, this person, the guy was named Dallas, who said Black Lives Matter are a bunch of liars and thieves, and they're like the KKK. So I said, okay, that's when I responded with, you know, doing a comparison and show him how that wasn't right. And I said, hey, see, Free Thought Project, this is a good example of somebody wanting to remain ignorant and wanting to remain hateful and not needing like the deep state or the establishment to do that. The establishment didn't get this dude named Dallas to compare Black Lives Matter with the KKK.
So then you got blocked.
Well, that was a little later, but like, yeah, that's pretty much what got me blocked. I just said hate and ignorance is not a government program. And so there was a lot of different comments up underneath mine. And actually, even if I disagreed with them, they weren't like derogatory.
Right.
The words weren't derogatory. So it was nothing actually that like transpired between I or someone else that was derogatory. People were liking, people were disliking, whatever it was. But next thing I know, I go to click on a notification because somebody responded. Next thing I know is my comment is gone. And I'm like, not only my comments gone, I can't make any comments, nor can I even follow or like the page anymore. So I was like, dang. And then the messed up thing about it was when I went back and looked at all these comments that remain, I'm like, and some of them were very inflammatory. Like some of them were very disrespectful. Some of them like using disrespectful language, being derogatory, and some were calling out the page. So I don't understand why my comment elicited such a response. Probably because like I said, I threw a wrench in their whole everyone unify and don't talk about things and that kind of that framework where they are trying to divide us and kind of taking the responsibility away from actual people behaving correctly. And that's what I hate about the whole they are trying to divide us kind of framing. It kind of it excuses and it coddles bad behavior, and people tend to just blame some outside force for creating hate. But anyway, that's what happened to me today. I got blocked by a page that I used to like, but you know, whatever.
That's your story, huh?
Shut up.
All right, we're gonna get on this show.
Yeah, let's start the show.
Now this is gonna be a little interesting because about an hour ago, I took some NyQuil.
See, he's trying to set it up. See, he's trying to hedge his bets. He was like, so if I start to drift, so my next time, if I start to lean a little bit.
So I didn't realize how powerful this NyQuil was, and until I got up, you know, just about 30 minutes ago, and I felt a little woozy, but I feel good right now. So
that's your day?
Yeah, that's my.
So you talking about my day?
That's my day.
That's your day?
Yeah.
Man, you could have called. I would have brought you some Dayquil, dog.
See, I got some, but see, I didn't know I didn't have enough. You see, you have to have 30 milliliters.
Yeah, I look right down the street.
Think about I got about half of that.
7 minutes, dog. 7 minutes.
We gonna make do. Right. We're gonna make do. See how it works. You know, you might have to pick up some slack. But anyway,
got a Red Bull, dog.
I know, right? Lori said, "Dude, NyQuil will tear your ass up." Yeah, it is. But I'm sitting down, so I feel good. But anyway, all right. So first thing we're gonna get into is Morgan Freeman. So there was a video, a clip of a video that we saw that was making its rounds yesterday on Facebook, and I didn't really see it until actually this morning. Mike had sent it to me. I saw it in the feed, but I hadn't actually took the time to watch it. And I don't know if anybody else has seen this clip of video, but in the video, Morgan Freeman was talking about Russia. You know, this whole Russia conspiracy to affect the outcome of the 2016 election. So if you haven't seen it, we're going to play it for you so that you know what we're talking about.
We have been attacked. We are at war. Imagine this movie script. A former KGB spy, angry at the collapse of his motherland, plots a course for revenge. Taking advantage of the chaos, he works his way up through the ranks of a post-Soviet Russia and becomes president. He establishes an authoritarian regime, then he sets his sights on his sworn enemy, the United States. And like the true KGB spy he is, he secretly uses cyber warfare to attack democracies around the world. Using social media to spread propaganda and false information, he convinces people in democratic societies to distrust their media, their political processes, even their neighbors. And he wins. Vladimir Putin is that spy, and this is no movie script. We need our president to speak directly to us and tell us the truth. We need him to sit behind the desk in the Oval Office and say, my fellow Americans, during this past election, we came under attack by the Russian government. I've called on Congress and our intelligence community to use every resource available to conduct a thorough investigation to determine exactly how this happened. The free world is counting on us for leadership. For 241 years, our democracy has been a shining example to the world of what we can all aspire to. And we owe it to the brave people who have fought and died to protect this great nation and save democracy. And we owe it to our future generations to continue the fight.
Join the committee to investigate Russia. Join the fight.
Join it.
Okay, so that was the video.
You
know what's funny?
What?
In that video, he talked about how this is no movie script. Looked like a movie.
No, it sounded just like a movie script.
Looked like a movie, especially when he sat down at the
sat
desk.
down when he was like, it just sounded like he was reading from one.
Yep.
It sounded like he was like I don't know, he maybe.
What was that movie he was
Olympus
in?
Has Fallen?
Yeah.
Olympus Has Fallen?
Yeah. But he wasn't the president.
No, he wasn't.
Deep Impact.
Deep Impact.
Deep Impact, he was the president in Deep Impact. I'm pretty sure.
Maybe he's getting some... He's
prepared for this.
He prepared for this. He has prepared for this. But it was just... I just don't like his Shawshank shenanigans.
Nah,
I just
man.
don't.
Look, we see this all the time with certain people, and we see this in the media too. Blame Russia, blame Russia. Hillary Clinton has said the same thing. Blame Russia. Democratic politicians, Democratic supporters, loyalists. Blame Russia, blame Russia. Morgan Freeman's take was very interesting, though. Very interesting.
Just like, not even the Russia stuff. Like what led up to that? What jumped out at you first?
The very first thing that jumped up at me was he said for 241 years, basically he said that we've had a democracy that the world looks up to, that people aspire to.
A shining democracy? What?
Yeah, like
wait a second.
A shining,
what?
A shining example.
No, wait.
A shining example.
Hey, yo, can you help me find something?
What do you want to find?
I can't. I'm trying. Okay, not
Where's
there.
that? What are you looking for?
I'm looking for 241 years of a shining democracy.
Yeah, see, okay, so then we got to do the math here. So this is 2017, right? So you take away 241.
Carry the one.
Do subtract. And okay, so you get to 1776.
That's an interesting year to choose.
An interesting year. What happened in 1776?
Oh man, there was a lot of freedom going on. Whole lot of freedom going on.
I mean, that was the Declaration of Independence, right? I mean,
that seemed
that's what
that's what he's talking about.
How we gained our freedom.
How we gained our freedom
from Britain. We're a free country now.
How we
are a free country.
Everybody.
Because he used that example to say that America has had a shining example of democracy.
Yo, since
that year.
That's a bad example. Like, it would have been cool if he talked about our kind of transitions that we made since that point. But this Joker went
all the way back. He went all the way back. He didn't go like 1776. Were there still slaves in 1776?
Y'all, there was still slaves.
Democracy?
I mean, last time I checked, the forefathers only wanted rich white men who owned land to vote, right?
Yeah.
Right.
How about 1830? The Indian Removal Act.
Okay.
That was in 1830. That was after this 1776, right?
Mm-hmm.
Women didn't have the right to vote at that time as well.
Black people couldn't own land.
No, couldn't own land.
They were barred from claiming land that was pretty much free for most white Americans to claim at the time.
Yeah, they were pretty much. I mean, really, the whole American system set up ghettos and hoods because you, like, if you're a white person and you wanted to get a home loan, you couldn't get that loan if you were by a black person, right? They didn't want to. They didn't want to give you a mortgage, right?
Yeah, even soldiers, black soldiers that came home from World War I and World War II did not get the same GI Bill benefits and treatment. So,
and we're talking about we're just talking about a little bit over 50 years ago was the Civil Rights Act of 1964. And you know, and before that, you know, Jim Crow, people, you know, segregation,
got a lynching period,
all of these things.
Again, it's okay to talk about us kind of traveling through these eras in regard to progress. That's cool. But when you just jump from this point and jump all the way back to that point, without any context,
and when we're talking about democracy too, if we want to go even to recent history, how about the fact that corporations were deemed people? Is that a shining example of a democracy? That corporations are people so that they can fund elections? Of course, they'll be able to fund elections better than an individual person.
So you're saying Citizens United is not a good example?
No, it's not.
Of a shining democracy?
Of a shining democracy?
Yeah, no.
Like legal bribery. We're talking about legal bribery within our current system. How politicians are currently being bribed to not actually represent us.
So you have a problem with lobbyists writing legislation? You have a problem with that? You have a problem with that?
You mean like lobbyists for corporations that pay these politicians?
You have a problem with that?
Have a problem with them?
You have a problem
writing
with that?
Legislation
you have a
and
problem
just slipping it to the politician?
And you don't think that's
shining example
of democracy?
Of democracy.
You don't think so? Okay. Jury's still out on that one. But yeah, that's what jumped out at me too.
Morgan Freeman, what are you doing? What are you doing?
One time Morgan Freeman said he was asked a question about racism and how we solve the problem, and he said, "Stop talking about it." That's what he said. So I'm thinking, I was like, I wonder if he could use the same,
the
same logic in regards to Russia. So Mr. Freeman, how do we solve this Russia problem? Could it be that we just need to stop talking about it?
That would be funny, but I don't think he would agree with that. I don't think he would. What? Anyway, but okay. So at the end of that video, you saw how join the fight, right? And it had a name there. It was the Committee to Investigate Russia. So this is a brand new committee, a brand new effort to investigate Russia and to, I guess, to educate Americans about the Russian involvement in the 2016 election. And of course, you saw Morgan Freeman is a part of this effort. Who also is spearheading this effort is Rob Reiner, the actor, producer, director. He was in that show Family, All in the Family. Of course, he's
actor,
very famous.
producer, director.
Actor, producer, director.
Isn't that funny?
He also supported Hillary Clinton. He held a big fundraiser for her. Back in 2015, the end of 2015, where I believe it was at his home and tickets were about like $500 to get in.
But this is in no way, influenced by that, is it? This kind of campaign, this committee.
How dare you? How dare you?
No, not in any way.
How dare you impugn the character, the morality of one Rob Reiner
and the ethics? You forgot the ethics.
The ethics, yeah.
And the objectivity.
So again, this committee to investigate Russia is a new effort, and it's been put together, like I said, by Rob Reiner. There's another guy too, and they were on CNN recently talking about it. This is Rob Reiner speaking about Russia.
I don't know that the public understands the gravity of what the Russians were able to do and continue to do here in the United States. They've attacked us. They are trying to undermine our democracy. And for some reason, we are not understanding the gravity of this. Our country is attacked. Democracy is on the brink to you know, if we're going to survive, we need to come together as Americans and understand what happened. They've always tried to spread propaganda. Now they have actually succeeded. They are now in, and they have disrupted not only the election, but they continue to spread. And now they're going to look at this site and say, well, that's fake news. I mean, they have successfully made you guys fake news, made the mainstream media and American journalism fake news.
Well, they're trying. I wouldn't say it's successful.
Well, they are successful with a lot of people. A lot of people discount CNN, NBC, CBS.
So what's your antidote?
The answer is bipartisan. The answer is Republicans and Democrats coming together and saying this cannot stand.
Let's just talk.
All right. Hold on. I think Facebook didn't get the audio, so we're gonna put that back up for Facebook. All right. So you didn't get that Facebook. You didn't get the audio. We're gonna put it back up for you.
I can't hear it now.
No, you wouldn't be able to hear it on there. All right. So you didn't get that Facebook. You didn't get the audio. We're gonna put it back up.
Nope. He said nope.
Yeah, there we go. All right. Facebook's getting it now. All right. Rob Reiner, again, actor, director,
producer,
Hillary Clinton supporter.
And, yeah, I know. Just coincidental.
Coincidentally,
he's
a Hillary Clinton supporter.
Yeah. He's
so again, you know, his opinion on Russia, it wasn't influenced with her loss. It wasn't influenced by her loss at all. It was just merely being objective, like you said. It was merely him being objective and seeing the events unfold with Russia's shenanigans
and all
in the 2016
and all
election.
the evidence, and then coming.
That's a good word.
Evidence.
That's a good word.
And coming to a sensible conclusion, right?
Sensible
conclusion. Yeah, so we still waiting right now for Facebook to finish watching.
There we go.
Okay, Facebook just finished.
All right, Facebook, yeah. All right, so yeah, there was Rob Reiner. Yeah, and we were just saying how obviously he was being objective. Obviously he was being objective. In no way is his position influenced by the fact that he supported Hillary Clinton.
And so think about it.
He was disgusted by her loss.
So he was a director and producer.
Right.
And so later on, what happens during that show? On that segment.
On the you mean what you talking about?
Morgan Freeman.
Oh, what you mean the clip?
Yeah. So do you think that's a coincidence? Because they actually ended up playing the clip.
Yeah, they ended up playing the clip because he's working with this effort. Morgan Freeman is working in this effort
as an actor. As an actor,
right?
You know what I'm saying?
Isn't it the littlest bit ironic that Rob Reiner, he's denigrating the fact that Russia, obviously, because based on pounds and pounds of evidence, Russia used propaganda to influence the election. But now he's using propaganda to influence the American public.
As a director and as a producer.
That's so ironic. And then like a few things he said. Democracy is on the brink. Democracy is on the brink. So are you telling me democracy is on the brink because of what Russia did? Democracy wasn't on the brink when corporations were labeled as people. This democracy wasn't on the brink when we've had years and years of shady politicians, shady politics, cash going straight into politicians' hands. If they leave office, they got a fat, cushy job paying $1 million salaries. So none of that put democracy on the brink.
So Russia. So,
but it was Russia.
So
that
Russia's
did it.
not attacking our democracy. They're not attacking our democracy.
I guess Russia is attacking our democracy.
What we think is the. See,
I mean, he's saying
it is.
It is.
I mean,
saying because directly because of Russia's actions, our democracy is on the brink. Not because of what we have done here ourselves, but because of Russia's actions. Now, do I think like he's talking about Russia hacking stuff, right? I think because Russia's actually been hacking us for years. So I'm not saying that no, Russia hasn't been hacking us.
Yeah.
But as it concerns the 2016 election,
like how many
they hacked the voting machine?
Yeah, and how many people?
I haven't seen any proof of that.
Yeah, and how many? And let's just think about this: like how many, like people, I guess as an estimate, like how did they make their decision as far as how they were going to vote? Russia? I don't think they were flipped.
No, yeah, it was because of Russia.
They weren't flipped either way. If Hillary Clinton did get more votes, so obviously it didn't sway that much.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I think people who voted for Trump were going to always vote for Trump regardless. But in regard to like our democracy being attacked,
right on the brink.
I think we were talking earlier, and I told you I was having like a Muhammad Ali moment. Like how am I supposed to be concerned with Russia attacking our democracy when our police are being militarized every day? How am I going to be concerned about Russia attacking our democracy when we currently have members of Congress threatening to, rip people's livelihoods to shreds,
right?
Taking, their health care away,
right?
Or trying to kneecap single payer campaign. You know what I'm saying? So how am I supposed to be concerned with Russia?
Because it's a foreign outside source. I mean, it's an outside force that we should all rally together and try to fight back against it. Because I guess we can do as much damage here as we want to, because this is domestic, we're all Americans. But when it's an outside force, it's like, oh, family got to stick together.
Maybe that's maybe
family got to stick together.
Maybe that's the point.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the point. Maybe constantly, them getting us to focus on outside threats is a way to kind of like shield any criticism of anything nefarious going on here.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
This is to kind of make yourself feel better.
Yeah. That's why when people like Colin Kaepernick put a big spotlight on things that are happening here, things that he's opposed to, he gets shut down immediately and called unpatriotic.
And did you hear, I don't know who that one of the CNN hosts, he said something like the voice of God himself.
Yeah.
Talking about what, that Bruce Almighty? Was that
Bruce
Almighty?
Yeah,
and I was like,
see,
I was like,
that's how, reference in there.
See, I was like, that's how I know it's like some planned fear-based propaganda. You know what I'm saying? When they do that.
And then Rob Reiner said, hey, Russia is making you guys fake news. And I liked how they were like, "Oh no, they're not. They haven't been successful. They're just trying. They're just trying."
It was like he thought he was making a point for them, but the host was like on the spot, like, "Wait a second, no, we can't.
We're not fake news. No. But again, like on that line of talk, was it Russia? I mean, because I've had this opinion about mainstream media, about corporate media for years. Well before 2015 and 2016, Russia didn't make me distrust our cable news. Russia didn't do that. They did that. They did that when you see that they prop up the Democratic and Republican parties at all costs. You see that when something that's anything that has anything to do with progressivism, they throw shade on consistently.
CNN, MSNBC.
Yes. ABC News, NBC News, all of them do the same exact thing. If there's a candidate there, they will try to give them really tough questions, right? And the narrative will be like, that probably is just too far, and
so
blah, blah. But they won't do the same when it's an establishment candidate.
So you're saying they were considered mainstream media before the election?
Somehow they were.
They were considered mainstream media before the election, though. Before the Russia stuff.
Somehow they were corporate news before Russia did anything.
They were corporate news that people really didn't trust before Russia.
Before Russia.
Okay.
Well before Russia.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And then,
but so Russia didn't kind of destroy their credibility.
no, they didn't. And again, like while we're on Russia, I'd like somebody to tell me what exactly did Russia do to successfully impact the minds of Americans? Like, what fake news did they actually share that Americans were like, oh boy, I'm grabbing hold of this juicy piece of evidence. This is fake news, but I'm gonna treat it like real. Like, where was that fake news at? Like, exactly what was the story, the issue that Russia propelled that came into the minds of the American populace, and that caused the whole 2016 election to be disrupted? What was that piece of fake news?
Why don't we go to Clinton? And don't she have the answers to that?
You know what's funny, right? You know what's funny, right? So, like, when those John Podesta emails came out,
see, I know you. See,
you know, like when those John Podesta emails came out, I don't remember anybody saying, "Oh, these emails are false. This is just Russian propaganda." Now, they blamed the Russians for being the source of it, but did they say that it was fake? Did they say it was fake? You know what? Hillary Clinton even took a question about it during one of the presidential debates. So she assumed the facts and evidence.
She even mentioned during the interview with who was it? Kate? Was it CBS or NBC this morning? In the morning,
Sunday morning.
Sunday morning,
right.
Where she said something about all the propaganda about the Clinton Foundation and all that negative press. She blamed that on Russia too.
It's like, if the information is true, then you're just mad that somebody was able to reveal it.
So in reality, they're just mad about the source. That's to say, if it's true.
Yeah, if it's true,
they're
mad
just
about
mad
the
about
source,
the
that the source was Russia.
Okay.
But again, like on this, democracy's on the brink. Our democracy is threatened. Like, did Russia make California ban the Diebold machines, the Diebold voting machines? Did they make them do that? Because why did California ban them?
That's a good question. Did the Russians kill single payer in that same state? Did the Russians kill single payer in Colorado?
Did Russia make Time Warner donate huge sums of money to Hillary Clinton's campaign? It's like, this is ridiculous.
Did Russia fail to patch a security measure at Equifax? Did Russia create fake accounts for Wells Fargo customers? Did they do that? Russia did that, dog.
Now that would be threatening our democracy.
Oh yeah,
right? That'd be threatening our whole way of life here. I mean, that would be really stirring up the pot. But if they are behind this and they just revealed some true information, well, all that does is it sucks for the Democratic Party. It sucks for Hillary Clinton. Like, don't be so bad. Don't suck so bad.
You mean the Clinton News Network label didn't come from the Kremlin? That didn't come from the Kremlin, dog?
Man. No.
Okay, I thought that was one example.
Because I don't think Time Warner has anything to do with Russia.
No.
But you see, this is a good. But see, we're at a good place here. We're at a really good place here because we're talking about democracy, right? We're talking about democracy being threatened, and specifically, we're talking about our electoral process, right? Being threatened. We're talking about how the Russians were able to influence our election. So we don't, I mean, like, it's all very just general. It's just being thrown out there, see what sticks to the wall.
Are you saying there's proof that elections are gerrymandered in a way, or proof that there's favoritism showed? Are you leading? Are you going there?
The integrity of our elections have been threatened,
but not by Russia.
Even if it is by Russia, this is what I'm suggesting. Okay,
go ahead.
So if our elections are being threatened, and we can no longer trust the integrity of our elections because, let's say, voting machines have been hacked and Russia's just doing certain things, why don't we use this great opportunity to abandon the use of all of these voting machines and just go to paper ballots? That would be a great idea. I mean, they should really get on top of this. CNN, MSNBC, CBS News, NBC News, the Washington Post, New York Times, everybody should be talking about this because everybody's talking about Russia anyways.
Hacking.
Because
obviously that's where the firewall has its vulnerabilities, right?
And so when they say hacking, and they just, like I said, they're just throwing it out there. They're not really explaining it. But when you talk about hacking and you talk about election in the same sentence, people are led to believe that votes were twisted, turned, flipped, whatever. Something happened. Something funky happened with the voting. So to prevent all of that, why don't we do the best thing that we can and just go to paper ballots? Why isn't CNN talking about this?
Yeah, because they mentioned Russia hacking with the electrical grid. Yeah, they mentioned Russia hacking nuclear facilities,
nuclear power plants and stuff like that. Oh yeah, yeah.
So obviously, like you said, the conversation should center around the election machines and doing away with that. But I haven't heard any talk about that.
I haven't heard
because if it's truly about hacking and the conversation hasn't been, I guess, driven towards, talking about machinery or electronics or the technology, then what are they mad at? What's their angle? So if our elections did really get hacked,
yes,
shouldn't the next conversation be
how do we stop this?
Yeah,
it isn't to just go forward with machines that have already have already been banned in a state like California because of security issues. It isn't to just keep going forward with them. It's to do away with them. And there's a large effort calling for the abandonment of voting machines.
Wait a second.
Paper ballots. Just count them.
Wait a second. Let's kind of go to another connecting issue. What did we talk about the last live show about California and what the Democratic Party is trying to do in regards to the primaries there?
Well, the Democratic Party is, well, they already have the state legislature has already approved the California primary being moved up in the schedule to one of the first states to weigh in on the primary season.
So we're supposed to be concerned about Russia hacking the election when they're actually hacking the election in a different way.
Oh yeah. Right now, in our faces. In our faces, they're trying to do what they can. Like, what were you saying? They're making a move. This is a ploy, right?
This is a ploy.
Yeah. They're doing it all out in the open too, so that they can give as much support to the establishment candidate as necessary, as they can, so that really less eyes are on them. Or less eyes are on their flaws.
The less time they have, less time people have to point out their flaws.
Right, early on. Because even if because the primary season is going to last how long it lasts anyways. But if you have lesser states, lesser delegates coming towards the end, they're not going to matter as much as, say, California would. So it will be less of an impact to this establishment candidate if their flaws are released later on down the line.
But hey, what we should do is just listen to the old wise black actor.
Yeah, the voice of God.
The voice of God.
The voice of God.
Because if
he knows.
Morgan Freeman said Russia fucked with us, then I guess Russia fucked with us.
That's it, man. I mean, if you can't drop that mic. That was expensive. You can't drop that mic, but that's basically it. Ain't this some shit, man? Ain't this some shit? But yeah, that's the Committee to Investigate Russia. Ain't that some propaganda bullshit right there, man? Democracy on the brink. Wasn't us that put democracy on the brink. It was Russia. Ain't that some bullshit, man? All right, well, that's the first story. And Facebook got to go because look, we're trying to look, YouTube is where it's at pretty much. I mean, YouTube is where it's at because we're trying to build a bigger audience on YouTube, and that's going to help us fund these activities too, because Facebook, we can't monetize the stream on Facebook. So to keep this community growing, to keep this this program growing, to increase the audience, please join us on YouTube. And you can see the rest of the show. So I thank everybody that did stay around and that logged on to see us for these first 45 minutes.
45. Dang, that was 45 minutes.
Yeah, I know it doesn't seem that long, but yeah, it was. But anyway, if you would just click that button right at the top, and you'll be routed right to our YouTube live stream.
Hope to see y'all there.
All right, peace out. All right, so let's get right into it, okay? All right, so we're gonna start talking about healthcare right now. All right, so I mean, because that's one of the biggest issues that's going on right now. Every news outlet is talking about it, whether it be single payer, whether it be this Graham-Cassidy bill. But we're gonna start with the single payer aspect of it right now. So of course we know that just recently Bernie Sanders unveiled his legislation for single payer Medicare for all. And there were 16 senators that co-sponsored it as well. So we know that Americans want this more than anything else, more than the ACA or more than repealing the ACA. People want single payer. So of course there's going to be more support. The support is going to be growing for single payer. And that's exactly why there's this effort now with the Graham-Cassidy bill to repeal the ACA, and with that, it would prevent single payer from ever being established in any state, right? But not only is the Graham-Cassidy bill trying to do away with single payer, the private health industry, which we've reported on before, is trying to do all they can to badmouth it and stoke fear into Americans' hearts about it. So recently, the Aetna CEO, his name is Mark Bartolini, he was speaking at the Strategic Investor Initiative Conference. It was in New York on Tuesday. And this is from The Intercept. Bertolini, speaking at the Strategic Investor Initiative Conference in New York on Tuesday, in response to a question from The Intercept, said that the Sanders single-payer bill does, quote, nothing to fix the underlying cost structure of the healthcare system. So if we refinance a lousy product, what do we get? A lousy result, Bertolini said.
Okay, what is the product here? Okay, the product is healthcare, but the product is lousy. Why is it lousy?
Doesn't he have a hand? Doesn't he have a hand?
That's what I'm saying.
In the product being lousy?
Exactly.
He's a CEO.
He's the CEO of Aetna. Now, this is the same dude that pulled out of the exchanges. Now, remember he pulled out of the exchanges in all but 4 states, because he, guess what, lost money. He didn't say anything about like it's going to affect quality. He didn't say anything about that.
No.
He pulled out because he was butthurt that he lost $200 million or something like that.
Right. I mean, but it just seems so ironic. I mean, not ironic at this point. It just seems kind of ridiculous for him to be saying, if we refinance a lousy product, we get a lousy result. Okay. Like I said, you have a huge hand in this product being lousy, but you just have bad things to say about it because people, I mean, like Bernie Sanders and others want to ensure every single man, woman, and child in the country.
Wait, he's admitting that it's lousy.
Yeah, he's admitting that it's a lousy product. You're involved in this business. You're in this industry. You're a CEO in this industry. It's a lousy product. But let's just say it is a lousy product, because when you look at the healthcare as rated around the world, we do have a lousy product. But there's a big but here. I would rather have that lousy product for every single person in this country than to have millions go without insurance. I would rather that.
So he's saying, like, since it is lousy, we won't do anything to fix it or reform it. What he wants to do is, like, he wants to spare people from this lousy product. He wants to spare us. He wants to spare the American people from this lousy product. Not make it better. He just wants to say it's lousy, and you guys, no, we don't need a new system.
Right.
So let's just
That's
keep.
correct.
Let me like, I guess, demonize the system and then support it at the same time.
Correct. So also at this conference, he mocked the idea of single payer, because you saw him there, like or refinance a lousy product, what do we get? A lousy result. Okay, so he was mocking it, and then he started lying, started just blatantly lying to people at this conference. So he said people are, quote, talking about socializing all the hospitals and doctors. Everybody's going to work for the government.
Again, there's that whole government takeover of our healthcare system.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's just this is about the delivery method and how it's paid for, which has to do with the insurance companies and not with those individuals who provide us with healthcare, like nurses and doctors.
Yeah. I know it. We're not even in the business, but we understand that we're not CEOs of in this industry. We're not. We don't have those positions. But for some reason, it's easy for us to understand that. So at this conference too, he asked for anybody to name a single payer system throughout the world. So a lot of people was like, Canada, right? This is what this dude said. He said that Canada, quote, has a government-run healthcare system. They're not single payer. They're single everything. So just like you're saying, just like you're saying, right?
Oh my gosh.
He's trying to make the case that we're transitioning the whole system. We're not just going about the financing in a different way. We're transitioning the whole system to now. So now where you have doctors, nurses, health practitioners, all of these different medical professionals are going to be working directly
for Nancy Pelosi.
For the government.
They're going to be working for Nancy Pelosi.
Yes. Now, is that true? And, is that even true of Canada?
No.
That's not even true of Canada.
See. But Bertinelli is obviously a smart man. He didn't get to his position by being dumb. You know what I'm saying? He didn't. Just respecting his... I guess his business savvy and him just talking about him as an entrepreneur, he's obviously not a dumb individual. So there is
obviously not dumb.
There's no reason why he doesn't understand this, or maybe his salary depends on him not understanding. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So per The Intercept, the suggestion, however, that Canada has a completely government-run healthcare system under which all medical professionals, quote, work for the government is false. In Canada, medical claims for virtually all non-dental healthcare are paid by the government, but doctors and hospitals work in the private sector. So that's exactly what will be happening here. Doctors, nurses, all health practitioners, medical staff, they're going to be working for themselves. They're in the private market.
So you're saying everything he says is either a lie or it doesn't make sense. Is that what you're saying?
It's either a lie. Well, I mean, no, it's a lie. No. I mean, like, you can't distinguish. I mean, it's a lie. But either he doesn't know what he's he doesn't know what he's talking about, or he knows exactly what he's talking about. That's more likely.
He's in the business of making profit through the system that we're trying to reform.
Right. And see, I have no problem. See, I mean, that's the whole point. Like, I don't have any problem with nurses and doctors earning a living. I mean, like, they went to school for years and they should earn a very high salary, because the medical profession is very important in any society. So they should be paid handsomely for their professional services.
They should be paid.
They should be paid. It's not like, and the system that we have right now is, again, the same system that we would have in single payer. Now, some doctors partner with different companies like Aetna or like United Healthcare. They partner with them. They don't work for them. They partner with them.
And then guess who wants single payer? Doctors and nurses.
Right.
They want single payer.
Couldn't you actually look at, like, we have Medicaid, right?
Right.
Don't doctors partner with the government?
They partner with the government.
Partner with the government on Medicaid. They don't work for the government. And they accept Medicaid because they're partnering with the government. So couldn't they partner with the government on Medicare like they already are doing for senior citizens?
But see, Bertinelli's attitude is compromised by the need to enrich himself. You see what I'm saying? So it's automatically compromised. So anything that comes out of his mouth is going to, I guess, be supplied by his need to be wealthy and exploit the system that we have now.
It's funny that you just said that too, because during this conference too, he kind of showed some hubris because he was talking about really how well he's doing, how well Aetna's doing. He was talking about how Aetna's stock price surged from $29.85 per share in November 2010 to $162 per share this week. Good news for you, right? Good news for you. Private health industry is working really well for you. It's not working out for everybody else, but you, the CEO, oh, you're making a bundle off of this. And then the ironic part is when you lump together his first statements that we were talking about, his talking about refinancing a lousy product, what do you get? A lousy result, right? That's how he kind of explained the situation. But then later on, you're talking about him trying to shapeshift everything about what's going to happen with single payer. So we're not going to have a private healthcare market. I mean, no. We're not going to have doctors that are entrepreneurs. You're going to have doctors that work for the government. So which one is it? Didn't that kind of contradict what you were saying? Because if before you were just talking about refinancing the lousy product is just going to create a lousy outcome, a lousy result. But that's not the same thing as saying that it's just going to be government run now. That's a whole different thing. So which one is it? You can't say that it's just refinancing if you're saying that, oh no, it's not just refinancing, it's actually going to be something totally different.
It can't be both.
No, it can't be. So he's speaking out of both sides of his mouth, and the real goal is to what? What's the real goal here for this CEO in the private healthcare market?
Yeah,
what's his real goal here?
He's a parasite that's going to be left out in the cold, and
his goal is to kill single payer.
And right now,
bad news for him.
He looks like a fish out of water. So that's why everything is all convoluted. You know what I'm saying? That's why everything is all convoluted. He's not making any sense. Then you sent me something he said about the Constitution or something. What was that? Or was that somebody else?
That was somebody else.
Okay,
yeah, we're gonna get to that. Yeah. So so that's one side of the just trying to suppress this single payer argument. Now another guy that's trying to do that is John Kennedy. He's a senator from Louisiana, I believe, Republican senator from Louisiana, and he was talking to The Intercept, I believe, and he was saying how the Graham-Cassidy bill that's in the Senate right now, that the Lindsey Graham and Bill Cassidy has brought up to repeal the ACA. He was saying how that within that bill, Graham and Cassidy said that if that bill goes through, then single payer would be no more going forward. States wouldn't be able to enact single payer on their own volition. Okay. Now we've seen that in states. Some states have done that in terms of like the minimum wage. Like the governors that sign bills like that, like saying that
towns, municipalities, counties
can't raise the minimum
on their
wage.
own.
Right, on their own.
So what you're saying is, this bill would prevent states from using their own tax dollars,
right?
The way they see setting up exchanges.
Yes.
What?
Yes. So this bill does that. But John Kennedy is proposing an amendment that will do the same thing because he doesn't want single payer being enacted in any state going forward. And so this is what he had to say. This guy said, I don't think states should have the authority to take money from the American taxpayer and set up a single payer system, Kennedy said. Now, some people think that that's inconsistent with the idea of flexibility, but that's what the United States Congress is for. I very much believe in flexibility, and I know the governors want flexibility, but it's our job to make sure that that money is properly spent.
This is one of those. This is a case where he is using a word, and that's not what he really means by the word. That's flexibility.
Flexibility.
Really?
No, he doesn't want flexibility.
He doesn't want flexibility.
No, he wants to shut down flexibility because flexibility
is going to take profits away.
Yeah, flexibility would mean that, well, okay, I'm a governor in this state. I'm the legislature in this state. We can have the flexibility to do what the hell we want to do for our people in this state. States' rights, right? So you know what? He's actually
yeah,
in
go
opposition
there to states' rights.
States' rights. You know who should be up in arms about this?
All Republicans.
All Republicans. Conservatives. All of you should be so upset, because this guy, a fellow Republican, is trying to take away your state's rights.
Where's the outrage?
Where is the outrage? This is unbelievable. Call him right now. John Kennedy from Louisiana, tell him how you feel. He's trying to take away your damn state's rights.
See, and you know kind of what this shows me? If single payer was as detrimental as they made it out to be,
right? If
single payer and how it was implemented was going to be a failure, if single payer is going to destroy the economy, right? Whatever, all these things, right? Why are they trying so hard to block it from coming? You know what I'm saying? Why are they trying so hard? If it's something that's, you know, not going to work, why not implement it and let it fail?
Yeah. Well, because I think we have attested to this before. There's not a country that has implemented single payer.
Right. Implemented and to say, you know what, we don't want that.
Yeah,
we don't want that.
No,
it's like we
covering every single person. What were we thinking? Nobody's done that.
This has been a disaster. Let's get rid of it.
Nobody's done that. Nobody's done that. So it's not that.
Not one.
Yeah. So it's not that. It's not like.
So it's not that.
Let's just give it to them, and they'll see how it fails, and then we'll go back to the old system.
We'll show them. We'll show them.
No, you won't go back to the old system, and the private healthcare industry will be asked out.
Wait a second. In regard to them trying to prevent states from I guess applying single payer, like, isn't that kind of against the principle of economic freedom? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Trying to prevent a state from spending their money as they see fit in regard to the insurance market. So where's the free market? Where's the free market now? What happened in the free market, though?
They don't want a free market, man. No, they want the system that's already actually, they, like the Republicans, they don't want the system that's in place. They want to remove that system and implement something much worse. It'll be I don't know, will it be, well, no, actually I'm trying to think, will it be better for the private healthcare industry for the ACA to be gone or not? Because you have to think about it two ways. There's more Americans that are covered right now, so that's going to be a boom into the pockets of the industry. But if you kick off all of these millions of Americans on this ACA, of course premiums are going to skyrocket. Premiums are going to go up. Will that result in the same amount of profit that they're getting? I don't know, because a lot of people are not going to be able to afford it. I don't know. I've heard different opinions about this Graham-Cassidy bill, where the private health and private health companies are at. Some of them are with the fight, some of them are against it. So I don't know, but all of them are against single payer, and it's no. I mean, come on, it's no surprise why. Also, one last thing that this guy John Kennedy said. And if this repeal effort fails, he warned, darkness would be coming. At the end of the day, this is the only process left available to stop a march towards socialism, he said.
This is my march to socialism. That's
a march towards socialism. A march towards. Yeah. This would be the only thing So the Graham-Cassidy bill and his amendment is the only thing stopping us from marching towards socialism. Now that's funny. Okay, so let's talk about America real quick.
But I mean, like, again, the socialism is, you know, when the workers own the means to production. That's essentially what socialism is.
Right.
That's what we have over here is very socialist light. It's like that's just in regard to
socialism.
Yeah, like that's just in regard to our tax dollars and how they're distributed to suit the needs of the community.
Right.
That's very socialist light. But we're not even really knocking on socialism's door.
Yeah, but what he's defining the aspects of socialism that we have is, like you said, it's not really actually socialism. It's socialist-like, right? But what he's describing, because okay, so what we know, single payer, like the way that single payer could be funded is through taxes, right? So they could raise taxes. It could pay for single payer. There's other, you know, avenues that they could go through, but really, it's all of us. Really, it's everybody in the nation paying for it, but we will come out with a better result because everybody would be covered, and we would be paying less for our health care. So that's socialist light. Just like, how about like public parks?
Okay, what about roads?
Yeah, libraries,
museums,
police departments,
schools,
fire departments,
schools. You know what I'm saying? That's a big tax pool.
Jails, museums, all of this stuff
has to get paid for somehow.
Yeah, all of this stuff is paid for, and it's not just like, you know, I mean the way they're billing it. I mean, because I'm sure that John Kennedy and these people in the Senate and in the House of Representatives, I'm sure they don't believe in MMT, right? They don't believe in modern monetary theory. They will say that taxes do fund spending, right? So if that's the way you want to look at it, why aren't you against tax? I mean, why aren't you against public parks? Why aren't you against
was he
departments?
against the research that kind of led to the internet being implemented for all of us? Was he against that?
I don't think so.
Is he against I guess federal dollars going towards welfare for corporations like fossil fuel corporations that fund their, I guess, expeditions to figure out where deposits are? Is that socialism? You know what I'm saying?
He's full of it, man. All he wants to do is fearmonger and scare people, just like the private health industry. There is one and the same. The Cassidy Graham bill, John Kennedy's amendment, private healthcare industry, all of them are fear-mongering so that nobody dare support single payer. What we have to do is either defend the ACA or strip it away completely, which the only thing that's different, I mean, like, really, it's not like you're removed, because the ACA did not change the game significantly. The most beneficial part of the ACA was, one, the pre-existing conditions were covered, and two, that way more people got healthcare. Excuse me. So those were the two fabulous benefits to the ACA, but it did not change the game, and we see that because premiums kept rising, co-pays, deductibles, all that's the same because it left the private health industry intact. They're still there. So whether you remove the ACA or not, the game is the same. I guess the travesty that would happen is that millions of people would lose their coverage, but the game would be exactly the same. What we're trying to do, what Bernie Sanders is trying to do, and people that support single payer, they're trying to change the game. Change the current script that we all have known for far too long, where millions of Americans don't have access to healthcare. And the people that do have, the people that do have access to it are not readily able to afford it. If they are affording it, it's at the expense of something else that's very necessary.
So the access is conditional.
The access is very conditional. So on this healthcare subject too, I'm sure a lot of people have seen Jimmy Kimmel's monologue on Tuesday and last night on Wednesday as well. But Tuesday's got a lot of press, a lot of coverage, a lot of people were talking about it. And of course, conservatives were talking about it. Conservative media was, oh man, so hurt, so offended by what Jimmy Kimmel said, because I mean, think about it. This is a late night talk show host, a comedian. You're not talking about healthcare.
You're not supposed to be serious. It's an entertainment show.
No,
you're not supposed to be political, because that never happens. That never has happened ever on these late night shows. Politicians are never invited on to talk about politics.
Of course not.
No,
of course not.
But it's just kind of funny how people are more concerned about the topic than concerned about the content, and actually concerned about a senator lying on national TV.
And see, okay, so that's what Jimmy Kimmel said. He said that Cassidy lied to his face about what he would support in a healthcare bill. And they called it what, the Jimmy Kimmel test. And he straight up lied to him because this Graham-Cassidy bill went back on everything that he said. So after Tuesday night's broadcast, I believe it was on Wednesday, Cassidy told CNN, quote, "I am sorry he does not understand. There will be more people covered under the Graham-Cassidy-Heller-Johnson amendment than under the status quo." Okay.
And then Jimmy broke that down and showed how all those things were not true.
Right.
And so basically, not only did it not pass the Jimmy test, as he said it didn't even pass the Cassidy test. It didn't pass his own test.
I don't like it. And then later on, I think it was later on MSNBC, he said that the bill requires coverage of pre-existing conditions, quote, to be adequate and affordable. Okay. All right. That's what you say. That's what you say, right? Okay. All right. Now, this is from Theodore Kupfer, and he writes for the National Review. What to do about the healthcare system is a complicated question. Kimmel has elected to probe the empirical matter of whether this bill does quite enough to erect a safety net for people with pre-existing conditions. There are legitimate critiques of Graham-Cassidy on those grounds, but at the same time, rhetoric about those with pre-existing conditions or about the cost of reforming our current healthcare system tends towards exaggeration. And with the leeway Graham-Cassidy's new federalist framework would afford them, states might be able to find more efficacious ways to protect those people.
Wait.
Yeah. Did you catch?
Wait. Might?
That's the part, right? So might. He threw the word might in there. There is nothing set in stone about this bill. Before I read to you what Cassidy said about the bill requires coverage of pre-existing conditions, and they have to be adequate and affordable, right? But who is setting the parameters on what is adequate and affordable? Who's doing that?
Yeah, because the
private health insurers
and those private the private healthcare insurers, they admit that they won't deny coverage to people with pre-existing conditions. But what will they do? They
might raise the rates on them. They are afforded the opportunity. They have the leeway to raise the rates on pre-existing conditions.
So that's essentially,
and that's not part of the ACA right now.
So if you're pricing them out of the game,
isn't it just like denying?
It's just like denying them. And one thing a lot of people fail to mention is the lifetime caps.
Right. Yeah, that's true. I mean, man, this is crazy, man.
That's why I just don't get why essentially people who would benefit from that type of commentary would be so mad at Jimmy for using his show for that platform.
I know.
It doesn't make any sense. But see, that's just people kind of changing the rules when they see things that they don't like. It's like they don't have a problem with something until it upsets their sensibilities. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because it's not like, here's the thing. If these supposed entertainment platforms are not supposed to be used for politics at all,
right?
Well, guess what? They need to stop inviting political candidates on.
Yeah.
Stop.
They need to stop
inviting senators on. Stop inviting presidential candidates, whoever on, because it's not like that doesn't happen now, and it's not like that hasn't happened in the past.
Right.
Sarah Palin,
Yeah.
Mitt Romney,
Yeah.
Bush, Obama.
You
Like
can just
go
go down
down the line. You know, and it's like there was a lot of people who had a problem with Jimmy Kimmel, and they compared him to Johnny Carson.
Right.
Like Johnny Carson was a real American, and he didn't do any of this stuff.
Right.
Like, number one, yes, he did.
Yeah.
He invited Governor Ronald Reagan
Yep.
onto his show, and they talked politics. Number two, I think
It was Joe Walsh.
Jo-
It was Joe Walsh.
yeah.
He sent out a tweet saying, "I miss Johnny Carson. Didn't even know what his politics was. He was just funny." Kimmel, Colbert, all these guys are all nags and boring.
See, that's what they do. They like they pick someone from the past who occupies the same position, like a talk show host, and they kind of somebody we all can respect and they can respect, and they kind of like revise the history.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But even if Johnny Carson didn't do that monologue called like it was I think it was called What Democracy Means to Me, and it was like a satirical jab at like empty patriotism and valueless Americanisms. Like, even if he didn't do that monologue, why does it matter? Like, Jimmy shouldn't have to follow like the script or the rules that were set by other people in his position.
They weren't
anyway.
rules.
They
They weren't rules.
But
It was
again,
just their actions.
but then again,
It's not a standard.
it's not a standard. But even if it was, who cares? But it has actually never been a standard.
No.
Like, so my thing is like if these venues aren't supposed to be political at all,
Then,
just
stay away.
Stay away. Like,
Exactly.
like then why are candidates and our leaders and our politicians on there ever? I remember Donald Rumsfeld,
Because
Dick
they
Cheney,
wanna publicize
Colin Powell,
themselves.
Condoleezza Rice.
Well,
all of them were
you
on
know-
talk shows.
You know what? I mean, because they want to appear to the American people, and they want to kind of lighten the mood and show their human side, not just talk about politics. They want to laugh, have a good time, so that what they can appeal to the American people, so that you will like them and you will vote for them. But when one of these talk show hosts talks on politics,
Can't have that. Can't have that because that's too real.
Yeah, that's way too real. Another thing I want to say about this too is really all this amounts to, like the Graham-Cassidy bill, all this really amounts to is deregulation, right? Now, since when did deregulation ever provide a better situation for people?
You mean like people?
Yeah, people.
Like the other people.
Yeah, the other people, the down people.
The down people.
Yeah, the middle class, poor people. When did because this is deregulation. Make no mistake about it.
How much time you got? How much?
You gonna provide me a list?
Somewhere. I'm gonna find it. I don't know how, but I know it's somewhere around here.
Because again, right now, pre-existing conditions are covered, and you're not gonna price gouge for it, right? You can't price gouge for it. But what Graham-Cassidy, what this guy Kennedy wants to do is to remove that regulation and throw it into the hands of the private healthcare industry, who is only interested in making a profit. You're gonna really entrust them with being moral and ethical and not doing the wrong thing? They're there to make money.
They're not. See, because they're not trusting them to do what's moral and ethical. No. That's the thing, because they're not. Now, that's what they say to us.
That's what they say to us.
But they know good and well that's not actually what they're doing.
And we alluded to it. Jimmy Kimmel, he talked about this again on Wednesday night in his opening monologue, and his most sharpest criticism was towards Brian Kilmeade, because of course Brian Kilmeade had an opinion about
Lord.
Jimmy Kimmel, and I guess saying that he shouldn't. Well, his quote was, he was just another celebrity, quote, pushing their politics on the rest of the country. Brian Kilmeade doesn't do that. He doesn't push his politics on the rest of the country.
Really?
Yeah, he doesn't. Of course.
Again, like they act like this is like unprecedented. Again, that's that whole tactic of making something, I guess, normal look extreme. Because what's another example? Bob Barker, The Price is Right.
Yeah.
He did his little animal thing at the end of almost every show. He was an animal activist, I think, after his wife died or something. And he always said something at the end of his show. So like it's not a new thing.
This is what Jimmy Kimmel said in response to Brian Kilmeade talking about he was just another celebrity pushing his politics on everybody. Jimmy Kimmel on Wednesday night said, "This is a guy, Brian Kilmeade, who whenever I see him kisses my ass like a little boy meeting Batman." He also said, "Oh, he's such a fan. He follows me on Twitter. He asked me to write a blurb for his book, which I did. I don't get anything out of this, Brian, you phony little creep." So that was. I mean, like I think you said it before the show. Like, Brian, you're going up against
a comedian.
Like,
why? First of all, Kilmeade is not funny.
No, he's not.
He's never funny.
No,
never has been.
No.
And like you're going up against a comedian. Like, what is your problem?
And he's being hypocritical because it's not like Jimmy Kimmel trying to explain the inner workings of the stock market to everybody else. No, it's a subject that it may be complex, but it's not so complex that you can't understand it. If you're not in the healthcare field, we understand aspects of it. Now, if we're talking about like funding, like there's different ways to do that. So of course that gets pretty complex. But about the pre-existing conditions, no, that's pretty cut and dry.
That's pretty cut
You're
and dry.
affording them the ability to. You're affording them the leeway to price gouge. That is not hard to understand whatsoever. So, but Jimmy Kimmel, entertainer, comedian, late night talk show host,
that's the thing.
He shouldn't be talking about this.
And it's not that he shouldn't be talking about it because it's something they disagree with.
No.
It's probably a little bit to do with the fact that he's on a corporate network.
Right.
And so he's not kind of...
Stay in your lane, buddy.
He's not staying in his lane.
Right.
I was like, he's on a corporate network. And so it's like...
I know.
Jimmy better watch himself. You better, you know what I'm saying? So,
Graham-Cassidy, we've explained, is bad. It's horrible. It's worse than the latest. And a bit of news too. So we talked about how McCain, he's likely to not support this bill. Susan Collins says she's leaning no. Who else did we talk about? Rand Paul, firm no. Also Lisa Murkowski, she's the one that, and she joined with Susan Collins and McCain the last time the skinny repeal. They shut it down, those three. So Lisa Murkowski too. She hasn't indicated what she's gonna do, but again, this is another terrible piece of legislation. And the Alaska governor, who is a Republican, has said that he's not with this bill either. So it would make sense that Murkowski would be like, I'm not signing on for this.
So they have a constituency to look after.
Yeah, I don't think they got. They don't. I don't think
they don't have the
votes.
votes.
No,
they don't.
And also, there's some governors around the country, Republican governors, that are against this.
But I think I don't know. I kind of hinted at this the last live show. Is that I don't think it's just about repealing the ACA or trying to kneecap single payer before it comes. I don't think it's just about that, because if you know right now it's not going to pass,
right?
And even during Barack Obama's 8 years, or 7 years, that they were trying to repeal the Affordable Care Act, and it failed.
Yes.
So I don't think it's just about an official repeal. I think it's more about them trying to destroy the optics of single payer. Because there's no way they already know the statistics. They've done the math, and they know there's not enough Republicans.
Yeah, that support
it.
Yeah.
So is I think I guess a secondary tactic for them is to try to muddy the waters and, like, I guess
at the same time,
right, and just kind of stir that doubt. You know what I'm saying, for a single payer. So I think that's kind of the secondary reasoning for all this, kind of all this push. You know what I'm saying?
One governor that it's interesting that is against this Graham-Cassidy bill is Chris Christie, Republican governor from New Jersey, the one-time 2016 presidential candidate. And it's kind of interesting because you know how he was like right up. He was like Trump's. he was trying to be Trump's right hand man.
Yo, this mug gave up donuts for Trump, dog.
I mean, it was
this
like
mug gave up donuts, Twinkies, and everything.
it was like he got tamed when he dropped out, man.
Yo.
He's like, I'm not the big dog no more. I'm just standing right behind Donald Trump.
Dog,
I'm not saying anything.
he
Head
looks
down.
so humbled.
Head down.
He looks so humble.
Yeah, but the reason why he's against the Graham-Cassidy bill, his state, New Jersey, is one of those 31 states that expanded Medicaid, and with the Graham-Cassidy bill, it would start winding down that Medicaid expansion to the point where, of course, at some point, that Medicaid expansion would be gone. Millions of people throughout the country would be off health care.
So if he doesn't,
he understands
so,
that
well, yeah, go
the
ahead,
people
finish
in
my bad.
he understands the people in his state would be negatively impacted by this Graham-Cassidy bill. So he's like, nah, sorry, can't do it.
I think that's so funny.
It's so
funny to
hilarious.
watch these mugs get humbled by reality.
Reality smacking them right in the face, man. But also, we haven't even reported on some aspects of this Graham-Cassidy bill that would be devastating. So this is from Slate. The Graham-Cassidy proposal would accomplish several major rollbacks of women's health care that Republicans have been trying to push through for years. First, it would block the use of federal Medicaid dollars at Planned Parenthood health centers, a so-called defunding measure.
Wait, don't these?
You know they've been trying to do that.
Don't they have daughters? Don't they have wives? You know what I'm saying? Don't they have daughters? Oh, my bad. Their daughters and their wives are most likely on their health care plan. Their government health care plan.
Their government health care plan. They don't have to go to Planned Parenthood. That's the thing. The Congressional Budget Office has estimated that the interruption in contraceptive services caused by a nationwide block of federal Medicaid dollars to Planned Parenthood would result in thousands of extra unplanned, unwanted births. Now these are people that are against abortion, but their actions would in turn most likely create more abortions.
Not only would, yeah, exactly. Not only if it doesn't create more abortions, it will create circumstances that will most likely lead to more dependent individuals.
More abortions, more dependent individuals, depending on the system that you want them to get off of.
You know what? I get. Well, I don't think the whole not wanting abortion thing is completely, an economic issue. I think that's why. See right there, we were able to see the economic consequences. You got to look at kind of who puts forth a lot of these initiatives about not wanting abortion. Yeah, white men, white men, white Christian men. But what is that about? It's not that they. I don't want to say it. It's not that they hate women. Yeah. It's not that. It's not that. Because what they're really doing is they want to increase the birth rates. That's what they really want. Yeah. That's what they really want. Right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like Steve King said. Steve King said these brown and black people are outnumbering us, and we need to do something to compete with their numbers. So when conservative white Christian fundamentalists are trying to outlaw abortion or kind of hinder women from getting abortions, it has to do with.
They won't say that though.
They won't say that.
Yeah, they won't say that, but that's definitely in the interior.
That's in their
thinking.
That's in the interior of their thinking.
All right, well, let's move on. That's all we got for healthcare. Again, thankfully, can't be too sure, but it looks like they don't have the vote, so it doesn't look like this is gonna go through. Right, so let's go to Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Okay. All right. So on Tuesday night in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, an Oklahoma City police officer shot and killed a deaf man. He was outside of his home on the porch when police arrived. So they were given information that there was a hit and run and that the vehicle had showed up at this location that they got to. So when they got there, they found 35-year-old Magdiel Sanchez on the porch. So according to Police Captain Bo Matthews, Sanchez was starting to approach the officers, and he was also holding a metal pipe. So again, according to Matthews, the police captain, the officers did not hear witnesses that were around tell the officers that this man is deaf. He can't hear you. He can't hear you. He's deaf. That's what they were yelling at these officers. The officers did not hear him. So once he got to about 15 feet from the officers, they opened fire and shot and killed this 35-year-old man, Magdiel Sanchez. Now, again, I just stated that Magdiel Sanchez did have I think it was reported that it was about a 2-foot metal pipe that he was holding. Now, nowhere did it say. I haven't seen any reports. I haven't seen the police captain Bo Matthews say that he was coming at the police officers in an aggressive fashion. He wasn't running. He didn't have the metal pipe like here, like he was very aggressive motions, anything like that. Yeah, no reports about that.
It would seem that if that was the case, it would kind of support police action.
Well, and then they would readily say that too to the media that he was making threatening motions. All that it seems happened was that he was approaching the officers, and he did have this metal stick in his hand, this metal pipe in his hand. Now, let's talk about the shooting. Again, the shooting happened when he was about 15 feet away from these officers. Now, there were 2 officers on the scene, and one officer deployed his taser.
At the same time, the other officer shot
his gun.
See, you know what? It's like, regardless of what we say and regardless of what kind of logic we try to interject in the situation, you know what tells me that the cop made the wrong decision to shoot? The other cop.
Yep.
Pulling his taser.
Yep.
That's what tells me that the cop that decided to shoot made the wrong decision, because why is the other cop going for his taser? You know, it's like you play sports.
Right.
You got 2 people, you got you and a teammate. Y'all play the same position. Y'all are supposed to look for the same cues, use the same fundamentals, same techniques, have your eye on whatever, and then make your decision and then make the play. What if one of you makes the wrong play? They're not just going to look at you. They're going to say, well, your teammate in the same position did this. What was he looking at?
Right. Why weren't you seeing the same thing?
Why weren't you seeing the same thing? So it's not just going to be a discussion about your actions. It's going to be like they're going to juxtapose it against the actions of your teammate.
Right.
So my question is, why did his teammate or his partner or the other individual at the scene with him use a taser?
So, okay. So the police captain, Bo Matthews, at the news conference, this is what he said. In those situations, very volatile situations, you have a weapon out, you can get what they call tunnel vision, or you can really lock in to just the person that has the weapon that be the threat against you. I don't know exactly what the officers were thinking at that point. That is not an explanation.
That is not. I don't know what the officers were thinking. And what other profession is that a satisfactory answer?
No profession whatsoever. I don't know what the officers were thinking.
It's like, you know what else tells me that the situation went down wrong? Good police work. Meaning I've actually seen on video countless situations where someone was coming at an officer, and by the looks of it, not judging a book by its cover, but what was his last name? Sanchez.
Yes.
He was deaf. He's a little bit chubby, right?
Yeah.
Like, not judging a book by its cover, but I guarantee you he did not possess Odell Beckham quickness.
No.
I guarantee you that.
If he did, I'm certain that Bo Matthews, when he was standing up there at the news conference, he would have said this was a threatening individual. He was running toward my officers. He had his stick in the air in an aggressive manner. Yeah. But he didn't say any of that. All that they said was that he was approaching. So what that sounds to me like is that he was walking towards the officers, and when he got to about 15 feet from the officers, they started
15
shooting.
feet. Wait, I'm about 6'2".
15 feet.
That's about 2.5 of me.
Yeah.
So my thing is, like I said, we're just gonna assume he didn't have like some Odell Beckham quickness. Right. We're just gonna assume that. Mm-hmm. I've actually seen good police work in those scenarios. Yeah. Let's just assume that he's coming, after, he's stumbling towards.
He's disobeying commands at this point because he's deaf.
He's deaf.
So he's walking towards
he's walking towards him. But even so, I've actually seen this. I've actually seen, because if you are truly trying to avoid using your weapon, right, you would, I guess your, not just your mannerisms, but like how you choose to engage and approach would reflect that. If you truly don't want to use your weapon. And I've seen this before. Right. I've seen plenty of cops do this where somebody's coming towards them. It's obviously this mug is not getting to him. They move out of the way, and they tase them, and dude falls down or chick falls down, whatever. And I was like, I've seen that countless times.
That would kind of be like that would fall on like maybe good policing, something like that, That would lend more towards good policing than bad policing.
Mm-hmm. And again, that's what kind of shines a light on this. Good policing that does happen that I have seen, right, where they don't just stay in the line of attack.
Like
I can't do anything.
I'm being threatened. Gotta shoot him. Gotta kill him. Right. So this whole situation unfolded like this too. So there was one officer that originally showed up on the scene, and that was Officer Lieutenant Matthew Lindsay. He showed up at the scene. He saw Sanchez on the porch. He called for backup. That's when the guy with the gun that shot him fatally, Sergeant Chris Barnes, showed up. Again, that's the guy that fatally wounded him, and Sanchez died. So then when he showed up, that's when Sanchez got up off the porch and he started coming towards them. So again, witnesses on the scene was like, hey, he's deaf. He can't hear you. Hey, he can't hear you. He's deaf, right? Now, there was a neighbor about 2 blocks away that said that they heard, her name was Jolie, and I don't want to bust up her last name, but her name was Jolie, lived about 2 houses down the block. And she said she heard the shots. It was about 5 or 6 shots that rang out. Now, it was definitely the gun that she heard, because if she's 2 blocks away, 2 houses away. I don't want to say blocks. Sorry about that. She was 2 houses away, and she heard 5 or 6 shots. She damn sure didn't hear the taser. She heard shots, 5 or 6 shots. Also, the police captain, he couldn't say how many shots. He couldn't say how many shots were fired, but he did say that it was more than one. So where I'm going with this is, this dude is 15 feet away from you, coming towards you with a metal pipe. Doesn't seem like it was raised in an aggressive manner, right? But he's coming towards you. He's not responding to your commands. Okay, I can understand how that's troublesome. Why didn't you back up like you were talking about? Why didn't you back up? Why didn't you move out the way? Why didn't you call for more help? Move out the way. Why didn't you fire a warning shot? Why didn't you shoot at the ground? Why didn't these police officers, don't they have like some of the best training that they're exposed to tactical situations, right?
Situational training. And see, here's the thing. Like, let's be clear. Regardless of what profession you're in, this doesn't just apply to law enforcement officers. You don't just magically appear in a situation like it's like you in the movie Inception, right? Or just a dream. You don't just magically appear there
and get scared.
You already know what you're going to get into.
Right.
You already have the time to prepare yourself before you get there, and that's no matter what job you are in. So like this idea that like it's just kind of it's surprising for them. Right. That's kind of a bunk story.
Like they got shook and was like, oh my gosh.
But guess what? Even if so, who cares? Like, why do people think that? I don't know. It's just
they're a police officer.
But anytime these situations come up, it's like somehow fear existing prevents people from thinking clearly.
Fear trumps their tactical training.
Not only that, it's like there are certain levels to fear.
Yeah.
Like all situations where fear becomes a part of the situation, and it's going to be relative to each person. There are levels to it. Like every situation of fear, we don't interpret as life-threatening, do we? There's a levels to this. Like for instance, like if somebody, like if a wino was coming at you, like kind of like stumbling, he's drunk and he's like, you got 50 cents, 25 cents, got a dollar, man, can I get change, dog? Can I get a change?
Right.
You know, you're like, man, going somewhere.
Right.
He's kind of stumbling. You don't fear for your life. But like if
a car is coming straight at you.
A car coming straight at you, or let's just say like somebody who is psychotic and is coming at you like a World War Z zombie with a knife and something else. Those two are different.
Elevates your fear.
That elevates your fear. There are levels to the fear. So all fear does not like equate to fear for your life.
But let's analyze this police officer's fear. If he shot him 5 to 6 times, was that really necessary? Like I said, you could have backed up away from the situation, call for more backup if you're that terrified. I have not heard or read anywhere where this guy was threatening anybody. Not even these 2 police officers. He was just not obeying commands, of course, because he was deaf. Let's say they didn't hear the witnesses say that he's deaf, he can't hear you, he can't hear you. Why did you not back up? And if you did shoot him, why didn't you shoot him in the arm? You were far away enough to where this guy could not hurt you at all. 15 feet, he had a 2-foot pipe, he couldn't hurt you. So why didn't you shoot him in the leg? Why didn't you shoot at the ground? Why didn't you shoot in the air? Why didn't you shoot him in the arm? Why did you shoot him 5 to 6 times and fatally wound this guy? You killed him. Did he pose that much of a significant threat that you had to end his life? This is not effective policing. We should hold our officers to a higher standard than this. I keep saying this.
So
these officers should be paid. My opinion is that they should be paid very, very handsomely for their services. But with that pay comes an extreme amount of scrutiny. And oh yeah, we forgot to say. So Captain Bo Matthews said that it's possible that Sergeant Chris Brown, I keep saying Brown, it's possible that Sergeant Chris Barnes did not have a taser on his person.
Oh gosh.
That may be why he reached for the gun.
So wait a second. Wait a second now. Wait a second.
Isn't that irresponsible?
I'm about to say. Exactly. That's exactly what I was about to say.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me he came to a scene without the necessary equipment to do his job
correctly.
Oh, wait a second.
To protect the community.
So it could be one or two things. It was a mishap. It slipped his mind, or he did it on purpose.
Right.
I didn't bring my taser. That's the only thing I had.
Right.
So it's either two of those things. Either he was negligent, it was a mishap, and he slipped his mind,
or he did it on purpose.
Or it's on purpose.
Either way,
it doesn't matter.
It's bad policing. Oh, and another thing, body cameras? Nope. Not on either one of these officers. No body cameras. So again, where's the accountability? Now, this officer was placed on leave, administrative leave, pending an investigation. But let's see. Is the officer going to be fired? No. Is the officer going to be charged? Is the officer going to be convicted? I do know one thing, though. I bet you there's going to be a settlement.
Oh, no. You know there's going to be a settlement. There's going to be a settlement.
There's, of course, going to be a settlement, right? Who does that serve? Whose interest does that serve? That doesn't serve the family's interest. It doesn't serve justice. That doesn't serve the interest of the city, because the city's going to have to pay for this when they could be paying for other things that the residents of this city could benefit from. So who does this serve? Who does this bad policing all around the country? Who does it serve? It doesn't serve anybody's interest but the police officer and their police department. It serves this idea that police officers are error-free and they do the right thing all the time.
RoboCops the RoboCops. They have no ideas of their own. They have no worldview. They have no biases. They have no thoughts of their own. They're just, once they receive their training, they're RoboCops, man. Don't you know that? That to me, it's actually not surprising that we see problems. No different if we see something good out of law enforcement. It's not surprising. It's not like individuals that are law enforcement kind of grow up outside of this society. So whatever issues that we see within our society, whatever, well, good and bad, they're going to manifest in everything, all professions and all people. So to me, it's just like, I don't know why people act as if this is surprising. But one thing that I don't understand is how come there's not more of a focus put on it, seeing as they have a heightened level of responsibility, a heightened level of power to affect the communities that they police. It just doesn't I don't understand it. And like you said, based on what type of job they have, they deserve a heightened level of scrutiny.
Oh, no doubt.
But I think like the problem is with that scrutiny, what qualifications come with that? And what kind of red tape do they have to go through so that they meet those qualifications, so that situations like this don't happen? Because that's the problem.
You made the point, maybe this was weeks ago, it's not just about training, it's about who this officer is inside. And so if you do implement these safeguards to where these police officers are going to be put under that microscope, if they are going to be held accountable, if we are going to scrutinize them to the highest level, then that means the entry process is going to have to be reformed too. And some of these officers that are currently on the job, they won't be able to be on the job anymore. That's uncomfortable, but it's necessary. All right, let's get to the last story we got. This one hits close to home here. All right here in South Carolina.
Some home cooking.
Yeah. So I don't know if anybody's heard of this story, but there's an elementary school called Oak Point Elementary in Irmo, South Carolina, and has caused some controversy. So last week, a teacher of fifth grade, a fifth grade teacher, gave out a homework assignment to her fifth grade students. Now, when one nephew, well, not nephew, one uncle got wind of his nephew's homework assignment, and he was pretty enraged because he said his nephew was enraged about it as well. So he put this on Facebook. He put the homework assignment on Facebook for everybody to see. And let's show you what the homework assignment was. So the homework assignment was about the KKK, and if you see at the top, it's talking about purpose and motivation, effects on opportunities of African Americans, illustration. So in their studies, they're talking about different groups, and the KKK is one of those groups that they were talking about at this period in time. But if you look towards the bottom, that first question that's being asked is, you are there. You are a member of the KKK. Why do you think your treatment of African Americans is justified? Now that's an interesting way to pose that question to some 10-year-olds.
This is elementary school?
This is fifth grade 10-year-olds.
Okay. Like, I think I asked you this earlier before we came on. When you kind of sent the story to me, and that, like, what prompted this assignment? What prompted this homework assignment? Like, what is this connected? This had to be connected to a current lesson plan.
Yeah. Okay. So this school, Oak Point Elementary, is in District 5, and there was a District 5 statement because of this issue. The teacher was placed on leave, administrative leave, because of this incident. But in their statement, District 5 said, South Carolina standards for fifth grade require lessons on Reconstruction and discriminatory groups, including the KKK. We must teach the standard, but we are taking steps to ensure this particular assignment will never be used in District 5 schools. So this is part of the lesson plan where they're talking about Reconstruction, they're talking about, I guess, divisive groups, KKK being one of those groups, and I don't think anybody has a problem with the lesson plan of talking about that period of time, Reconstruction,
yeah.
the KKK. I don't think anybody has a problem with that, but the phrasing of the question, why would you put a 10-year-old in the place to where they would have to defend the KKK?
This is not like I see. Maybe they're, like if you are like, like in actually a lot of I guess subjects do this, or a lot of professors or teachers do this, no matter what kind of the subject is. Well, they'll ask students to get on one side,
right?
And you can't choose.
Yeah,
you just have to argue for or against something and come up with arguments.
Yes,
just to see how good you can argue.
And that's understandable.
That, I mean, I know some teachers do that, but
in this case, you're gonna put people in you're trying to put 10-year-olds in a hateful place and say, explain why your position is justified. Like, what could they say? Black people are terrible. I hate black people. I hate their skin.
They rape white women.
Like,
raping white women.
Why is that an effective lesson plan? Like, if you want, if you want to study the KKK and what they meant, what their goals were, that's fine. Ask the question: what did the KKK represent? And what was their motivation? Just like you had at the top of that assignment.
What did they stand for?
What did they stand for?
And what justifications did they use? In regard to how they approached their politics.
Because you can research that. You can research the methods that they used, their language about how they justified their attitudes.
That just seems like a weird position to put 10-year-olds in. It's like, hey, you're in the KKK.
Yeah, you hate black people.
You hate black people.
Explain why.
Explain why. Go.
This is a teacher. She's supposed to be educating our youth, and she's putting people in a hateful place. A 10-year-old, an impressionable 10-year-old, you're putting them in a hateful place. Like, that's not. Come on, man.
And you know what's so funny?
That's asinine.
And the thing about anything, and not even kids that age, but they have an imagination, so they'll most likely come up with things on their own,
right?
Other than things that are true, but they'll probably come up with things on their own.
I mean, 10-year-olds, you're not supposed to be promoting division. You're supposed to be making sure that 10-year-olds can work and play together, because that's the society that we all want to live in. You don't want to put in their heads that, hey, black people are so different than you. We're gonna come up with these positions to justify the hateful actions of the KKK. That's so asinine.
I think, like, it's not the lesson plan, it's not the topic, it's not the subject matter, but it's kind of how it was framed.
It's all about the framing of the question. It's not the lesson plan. It's not the lesson plan. It's not the topic. It's how she framed that question. And then the last question was, you are there. You are a freedman. Are you satisfied with your new life? Why or why not? Again, I have a problem with the framing of the question. Okay, so you're a freedman, right? Are you satisfied with your life? Why? Of course not. Of course not. Because we know after slavery and black people became free, were they actually free? No, they weren't free. They weren't free at all. Were they free just like a white person? Absolutely not.
Again, maybe that teacher was trying to get them and to kind of like.
The last question is more acceptable.
That's what I'm saying. Like, maybe
maybe
the teacher was trying to encourage them to try to pull that out of them. You know what I'm saying? To be more, exploratory and kind of provide context to history and how it's not just black and white, how it's not just this happened and this happened, so everything is okay.
I think as a standalone, like, if that last question was there and that's it, I don't think anybody would have a problem with that. I don't think I would have a problem with that. But coming up right after the KKK phrasing of the question, like, justify your position.
The thing is, I'm
like, where is the mindset of this teacher?
Again, like I said, I'm really interested to see, like, some sort of, like, I guess, a loose outline of the lesson plan that this homework assignment is connected to. You know what I'm saying?
Again, she's been placed on temporary leave, administrative leave. We don't know what's going to happen with her, but it did make national news here. It was very interesting, and I think, you know, any parent that got outraged because of this,
it doesn't even, to me, it doesn't even matter who, like, what socially constructed racial designation the children were.
No, not at all. This is it doesn't matter what race the children were. No, you don't want to put any 10-year-old child in a place to where they're gonna have to defend the KKK's actions, their attitudes, their motivations, their ideology. Why would you, like, you can explain it as a kid. They can do some research, they can read a textbook, they can find out why they were there, what was their purpose. Their purpose was to hate. They can do all that research. They're 10, they can read, they can understand things, they can even understand hate. But I don't think you want to put them in the mindset of hate to try to justify hate.
Because kids at like that age, it's hard for them to distinguish between, like, they already know it's hard for them to distinguish between like entertainment and reality. They still haven't gotten out of that yet.
Right.
So I'm still not sure if that was the correct approach based on their level of maturity. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
You're not sure it was the right
and the thing is, I think like that kind of that question maybe posed to an older group, it might be good
to put them in the place of a KKK member. To put them in the place of a KKK member?
I know it's provocative, but like I said, you know, that might be a good strategy for an older.
But how? Like in high school. I think what you're going to do, because you do have some people, you do have some kids that are raised that way. So if you have kids that already have those feelings, you might provoke.
But
you might provoke some kind of fighting
like how,
in that class.
But still though, but what's the proper age for us to kind of?
I think adults, man. I think that I mean, like, if you're actually going to have that, if you want to phrase a question like that. I don't know. Like you said, it's provocative. I think it's a bad strategy because, again, things will get real ugly, real fast.
But how do you introduce kids to a gruesome past? How do you do that? How do you introduce?
Well, you educate.
Still,
you educate. You educate about you don't try to cover it up. You don't try to put some frosting on it, sweeten it up with a bow or anything like that. You tell them, you educate them about exactly what happened. You don't leave parts out, but to put them in a place, to justify it.
Again, no, maybe it was designed to get them to reflect on views that they possibly have, or maybe people in their lives possibly have, to point out specific attitudes, specific thought patterns, specific worldviews, and specific character traits that they judge people with. Even at that age, maybe that assignment was to get them to reflect upon their own attitudes and maybe think about the attitudes of the people that live around them, possibly their parents, their relatives, or whoever. I'm just saying.
But check this out, right? Okay. Because like I said, this could get real ugly real fast. So imagine a kid being like, well, I'm in the place of a KKK man, right? Well, I don't like niggers. It might get ugly real fast, man.
No, it's like I'm in the place of a KKK member. Oh, hell yeah. Oh, damn it, I'm on the right team. Oh yeah. You know how like when you in elementary school,
I know,
and you got put on a good team, you're like, oh heck yeah, we gonna win. And so yeah, it
could get ugly real fast in there, man.
And guess what?
These are 10-year-olds.
Maybe that's what should happen.
You want to stoke fighting in the 5th grade class?
I didn't say I wanted to stoke fighting. I'm just saying.
You throw out that word.
I'm just saying, if a situation like that popped off where some person
but you think that would actually lead to understanding?
It could possibly lead to understanding. What I'm saying is they're trying to put everything out on Front Street here. They're trying. It's like it is kind of good. Maybe it could be a good thing to see where these kids' minds are actually at.
Yeah,
That's all I'm saying. Like, again, I understand the intention. I agree with you though. Like maybe it was just framed in the wrong way. Like it.
I don't have a problem with the conversation. Broaching the subject, nothing whatsoever. I'm just saying it could get real in there real fast.
And again, they tell you, dude. We grew up in the same area. Mm-hmm. It was, it was already real for us at 10 o'clock.
Oh, no
I mean, 10 o'clock at 10 years old.
Oh, no doubt.
I know this. I can think about situations that I went through as a 10, an 11-year-old, a 12-year-old that were obviously due to a teacher having a certain preconceived notion about me. And I was aware of that at 10 and 11 years old, and I can actually recall. Yeah, I know. I can recall clearly certain situations I was in as if they were yesterday. Right. So, if I was aware of that at 10, then I don't think it would be so out of bounds to, I guess, maybe provide me with some sort of assignment or maybe some sort of activity that got me to articulate things about that situation. And there may be some things that come out amongst me and my peers that we may not like, but we're gonna have to deal with it, and it's important that we deal with that at a young age.
But see, this is what I'm saying, right?
If that was us, okay, I know you about to go.
No. I'm just saying that I'm talking about the acting element of it, right? Like 10-year-olds, they're not actors, right? So if, like, let's say Mikey little 10, right? You little 10-year-old, right? You little 10-year-old, right? You got a little, you got a little white friend, right? Now he's on the other side. He's on that KKK side, right? Now he's spitting some foolishness because he's in the role of the KKK member. Are you just gonna be able to forgive him because he's in the acting role, or are you gonna harbor some some ill will towards him? Or are you just gonna be able to roll that off your shoulder? He was just acting.
I don't know. I mean,
or would you be like, oh man, that came too easy. He's got some feelings. You know what I'm saying? This could really stoke some fires, man.
Exactly. And maybe that's what's necessary. Now, somebody in the comment section, I said, I don't think 10-year-olds haven't yet noticed there is some trouble around race difference. Okay, haven't yet noticed. Yeah. Okay, I can agree with that. Yeah. But like I said, I mean, again, I would be disappointed at that age. But again, wouldn't that be a necessary thing for both of us to reflect on? That's all I'm saying.
In that way,
yes.
I don't know, man. I see some bows being thrown.
So what? I mean, but no, I ain't gonna harbor nothing. I'm just waiting for a chance to be like, all right, I'm gonna get you in the lunchroom. I'm like, I see you. You know me, though. I'm low key. I'll play like I'm cool with it. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna harbor anything. I'm just going to wait till we walking down the stairs to our class and just gingerly push you down the stairs.
I seen you. I think this was 6th grade. See, I'm about to bring out some stuff. All right. There was this one dude. I ain't gonna even put him on blast. I'm gonna say his name was Chris. Right?
A generic name.
Yeah. His name was Chris. And it was around recess time. And it was like the whole school wanted a piece of this guy, man. This guy, nobody liked this dude. And it wasn't because people were bullying him. Straight up, he was just that type of guy that would try to make you not like him. He was just so irritating, so annoying. So I remember at recess this one day, it was like there were several people that wanted a piece of him that were trying to get him. Mike got him. Cause he didn't see Mike. he was just like, I think he had his back to you or something like that. All of a sudden you see this middle linebacker go bam and tackled him in the grass area. Oh snap. I'll never forget that image, man. So that's what you saying. You get him at lunch.
Yeah, dog. I've been like, I've been sneak attack.
Cause nobody saw you. I didn't even see you coming. All right, so we at the end.
See, that's an easy question for me to answer, Mike. You're a KKK. What's your motivation? If I already understand the mindset of someone in the KKK, that's easy for me.
Yeah,
that's easy for me.
Yeah, I mean, like that's what I'm saying. Like for adults, yeah, you can do that. I'm just saying. I think in a classroom with some little kids, it's gonna get real. it's gonna get real, and people. I don't think those. I don't think those feelings are gonna go away immediately. And even if the like the guy that's on that KKK side, even if he was actually just being in that place and acting the role, again, are you gonna just say that he was? Are you gonna really just believe that? Yeah. That could get real difficult, real ugly. Anyway, we have some time left. Anybody wants to call and talk about anything that we've talked about here today, the number is 803-450-0698. If you want to share your comment, ask a question,
we'll give y'all a few minutes.
Right. I think we had a good talk today. If anybody in the chat too, if has a question, you can just ask it, and we'll be glad to respond to it. I saw a lot of activity here in the chat today.
Y'all was like going off today.
Man, that's a long
chat. Golly.
Right, and there was a lot of people in here today.
Yeah. I saw like.
So that's good. Like I said, we want to increase the amount of people watching the live feed as we can.
And see, dog, I don't think my mama ever knew about that. I don't think my parents ever knew about that situation.
Word.
Yo, I don't think so.
Because I don't think
statute of limitations never run out with parents, dog. I don't care if it was 20 years, 25 years ago.
Because nobody got in trouble for it either. Nobody got in trouble for it.
Nope.
Yeah, I think because I missed them.
See,
because I missed them. I dented the portable because I think I tried to kick them and I dented the portable.
I chose strategic moments to be reckless. No,
but you have to excuse it. This was, like I said, this was like 6th grade, okay? And this dude, he was asking for it. He was asking for it. No, I mean, he didn't get hurt or nothing. He just got tackled. But he was asking for it though. You know, little 11-year-olds get a little rambunctious.
He said Mark said he tried calling.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Let's see. Nah, it's up right now.
It's up. We have the app up on the laptop right now.
Everything's up right now. 803. Let's see. Hold on. I don't even remember it. 803-450-0698. Yeah. Meanwhile, let me look at our Patreon account because I believe we do have a newest patron on Patreon. We have a call coming through too.
Yep, maybe that's Big Mark.
All right, let's take this call. Caller, you are on live with LTMB. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Yeah, what's up, guys? Hey, this is Mark.
Hey, Mark, how you doing?
What's going on, Mark?
I'm doing all right, man. How you guys doing?
I'm good, man. Where you living at, bro? Where you living at?
Man, you know what's crazy is I live in Texas.
Texas.
I had yep. I had one of the houses like flood during Harvey.
Dang, man.
The famous footage with the boats on the highway and stuff. I live right exactly there, so I had everybody in the whole neighborhood there is flooded 5 feet of water and lost everything out once. But that's what was kind of leading into the question I was going to call about. I think it's going to be interesting to see how all these natural disasters and such heavy reliance on federal aid, it's the only thing that can hold people up. I've seen a lot of people lose everything, houses, cars, everything all at once. Every single person on my street. Fortunately, I didn't lose everything because I wasn't there for it, but a lot of people did. And, Texas is historically red, but it's actually a pretty blue state, too.
Yeah,
there's a lot of blue people here, too. But it's going to be interesting through all of the South and states that are pretty Republican to accept the fact that, supplying what the people need is important and impossible to avoid. They're in a situation where what can you do? You have to rely on the big brother at certain times. But, in a state like this where that's not as preemptively fed in as a bad thing, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out in the long run, even with Trump. What is he going to how's he going to play off the assistance, the financial needs of the people?
Yeah, I'm totally feeling you, man. It's kind of this thing where they're gonna have to put their money where their mouth is, and not just money, but their elevation of the Constitution and that whole taking care of the general welfare of the people clause. You know what I'm saying?
But that sometimes that contradicts with their big government talk. They don't want big government, but like you're saying, in these natural disasters, how else are you going to fix things? How else are you going to fix the roads? How else are you going to relieve people and fund the recovery effort? I mean, the government is there for a reason, but you have these politicians that talk all this talk about how we need to have limited government, we need to limit spending, this and that. And then when tragedy happens, they have to put on a different hat now because it's happening in their backyard.
And the thing about it is, it's not just about supporting individuals or saving individuals. It's about kind of reinvigorating the economy that these people lived in. That's one thing that kind of people are kind of missing, is that the economies of these places are affected. And if we kind of or if American people essentially kind of don't pay attention to the economic consequences of us not fixing the infrastructure of these places, then what are we saying for these communities' involvement in the economy and their place in it? And I think,
and it's not even just you're talking about infrastructure. It's not even just that. It's dealing with the root causes of the problem too. We have politicians that don't want to discuss climate change. So to prevent these natural disasters from happening, and it's not like I'm saying you can prevent every natural disaster, but it seems as though they are escalating, they're getting worse, and it looks like it has climate change is having a direct impact on these natural disasters. So if we really want to be proactive, we would be discussing that. We would be coming to solutions on how to save this planet. But again, that doesn't fit in with the narrative that certain politicians want to talk about. So the people are left to suffer.
And I do think, like you said, it kind of puts a lot of those politicians in a tough spot, and kind of makes them question. Hopefully, they'll make them question their priorities and their kind of their ideological, their ideological positions that they take. And it's like, they do have to kind of make a choice about where these federal dollars need to go to.
You remember Chris Christie catching hell because he hugged Obama, right? You remember after Sandy, he caught hell from other Republicans because they needed support. They got support. Of course, he's going to welcome the president there. This wasn't a politics move. This wasn't something that should have been bred in politics, but you have, he's just there greeting the president as a president is supposed to do. He's supposed to be there on the ground and supporting the effort, but it just went back to party politics, and Chris Christie was eviscerated.
Hey, Mark, what are the blue areas? Because all states are not. I heard Austin is a blue area. I heard.
I'm born in Dallas. I've raised most of my life in Houston. And I do a lot of stuff in Austin musically. So, I just know all over Texas. And I was about to mention that, too, just the areas, because Texas is gigantic, and every city is pretty different. And the ironic part of this is, just considering, the redness of the state, Houston in itself, all the way down to Galveston, is pretty blue. Houston is a pretty blue city. There's so much rural where you have such a large population out there that is red, but it's hard to say. It's just very all blue or all red in a lot of areas. It's such a big state. Austin is pretty blue, but it does have it's red in there too. Also, Dallas is pretty red. that in San Antonio. San Antonio is kind of middle ground. But, you know, your rural areas, where there's a lot of Texas that is rural, so you have, you know, that's pretty given red. And that's a large percentage of the population. So, but, you know, a lot of the blue state of the state down here in the coast is affected the most, you know. So we're having the entire state representatives consider it, you know, and they're most likely not here in the blue areas. And it's, but, you know, the larger level of it is all the way to Trump. You know, this is something we can't avoid. And this is an issue that everyone's staring at, you know, and it's like, it's going to be interesting just from here to Florida, everything, to just kind of like in a sad, forceful way to go, look, when it gets to it, when it's this big of a deal, you have no options but to rely on this system that you hate so much.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So what are you going to think about that now? Is it worth funding now, or should we still cut? You know, it's interesting to see it all played out, but at the same time, whenever those topics come up, I see a lot of hiding, a lot of dashing, you know, behind curtains, and, well, we're going to talk about something else over here, and, you know, because you know how it is. All through this, it's been, well, we'll come in like 3 days later and say, oh, well, you know, good luck. Well, boy, poor guys, you know, but they're not addressing the problem that, you know, look, right now there's a large population of people that are without, and all of the bailout money of any kinds that go in, you know, goes through corporate hands, and it's very interesting how that pans out. But, yeah, it'll be interesting to see the mass effect this has on politics and people, you know, because hurricanes affect millions of people.
Right.
You know, so
I appreciate
see.
you calling. I appreciate you calling in and addressing this issue, Mark.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Y'all are doing great.
Yeah, man.
All right, you have a good night.
You have a good night, bro.
You too.
Yeah, like I said, we know how politics goes, man.
And it's not an issue that's going away, and I think that's important. It's not one. It's an issue. It's uncontrollable, and it's one of those economic outliers. You know what I'm saying? It's like one of those externalities you have to be aware of. Hurricanes ain't going nowhere.
Right.
Tornadoes ain't going nowhere. So whatever it is, it's not going anywhere. So.
Caller, you are on live with LTMB. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, guys. My name's Gail. I'm calling from Southwest Florida.
Florida.
Nice talking with you,
yeah.
Gail.
Originally from New York.
Represent.
Oh, you got Will. We got Will there.
I'm from Brooklyn.
Okay, I'm from Yonkers. I wanted to talk to you guys and just maybe enlighten you a little bit. You were talking about the police situation in Oklahoma. Right. Now, of course, none of us were there. But as a retired police officer, I was hired in the late 70s. I must tell you, they check everything in your background. They give you psychological testing, medical testing. They test you on your thoughts. They went to all my neighbors. My work, they checked us out completely. Not only that, but we were always told you never, ever do a warning shot because you do not know where that bullet will go, even to the ground. And you don't want to try to shoot someone's leg because it's a small part of the body. It moves various ways. You always aim for the torso. We never shoot to kill. We shoot to stop the action. These police officers are getting into situations that, yes, they are a little afraid. Not all of them, but they have some fear. But at the same time, it's a very quick thing. And I know you said the man was 15 feet away, but it's a very quick decision. And your brain cannot handle that information so fast. Now, you said one man had a gun and the other man used a taser.
Yes, ma'am.
A lot of places, they don't have tasers. I never had a taser. I was hired with Smith and Wesson, 6 bullets. By the time the 80s came, mid-80s, they switched everybody to a Glock. So all the new people coming on had Glocks with about 15 bullets. My group and the people, all the men behind me and all the women behind me that were hired in the 60s and 70s, they still had to use the same revolver. It took the police department a few years to get everybody online. So I may show up with my 6 bullets and someone else has a Glock. So that's why you can't assume that one man maybe forgot his taser. Maybe he wasn't issued one, never trained on it. They constantly do training because the scenarios are so different. You never know what's going to go on. That guy could have easily thrown that pipe very quickly. And yes, you know, you like to back up and back away. But that isn't always the situation either, because you never know what's going to escalate and how fast. Now, trying to call for backup, there's 2 men there. Calling for backup, it takes a while to get there. So that's really not an option. And I understand how you're thinking, but at the same time, you have to realize people are always told, until you stand in someone's shoes, you really don't know what's going on. So I just wanted to enlighten you on, not everybody has the same equipment. The situations escalate very quickly. If people would just stay still. Now, I understand this man was deaf, and the officers probably didn't know. They do get, when you don't hear everything. So my point is, we have to stop Monday morning quarterbacking these police officers. It has to go through a process. They have to check out the tapes, check out the witnesses, which sometimes the witnesses are kind of hostile. But right away, everybody jumps on, well, that cop was wrong.
Well, see, you raised a lot of issues, and
yes.
There are concerns with the issues that you raised. Like, one, you said that, you didn't have a taser, he might have not been issued a taser. That is a structural problem that is significant. If one officer there has a taser, the other one doesn't, yeah, the only thing that he can reach for is his gun, but that's a problem, because if the other officer is seeing this as a problem that he can rectify without lethal force, that other officer could have done the same thing. That's one. Also, the other thing you're talking about is, you're not instructed to, shoot warning shots. You don't know where that bullet is going to go. You don't want to shoot in the leg, the arm, but to shoot 5 or 6 times in the torso, that's to kill. That's not to stop. That's absolutely to kill the suspect, no matter what's going on. To play, you kind of push back on the concept of Monday morning quarterbacking, but we're without video footage because they didn't have any body cam. They didn't have a body cam on them. So that's, again, another structural issue that we need to rectify. Every officer should have a body cam because officers should be scrutinized to the highest level. We need to be able to see what went on. We just can't accept the word of an officer, because one thing that we always see is that officers do tend to back up other officers no matter what their actions are. So if they're bad or if they're not bad, it is a tight-knit community, and they do protect their own officers.
Not all the time. Not all the time.
Not all the time, but most of the time, that's what we see.
Police officers, in the majority of police officers, do not want bad cops, because it makes their job so much harder. If people don't trust and hate cops, it's so hard to do your job when you know everybody hates you. Everybody.
Okay.
Not want your back.
When you said something about the background that some of these departments go through to, I guess, hire law enforcement. Yes, I have friends that are police officers. I also have friends that work dispatch too, and I've actually seen the applications and the questions. So I know kind of what they have to go through as far as like a application and interview process. Like a lot of what you said were very kind of scenario driven things, and we always have these scenarios running in our heads too. Like we're always thinking about all the possible little details about a story that could affect everyone's decision. But what we do not do is talk about stories that we don't have details for. So all of what you said can be true, but is it true in this situation? So we're not actually in disagreement with you at all. Right. This is why we kind of say that law enforcement deserves to be paid because of their job is dangerous, but they also kind of need to expect a higher level of scrutiny. So, but like I said, we try to only come to conclusions based on information that we have about a specific situation. So we are not actually casting a wide net on other hypothetical situations. We're actually trying to get down to the bottom of a particular situation. So all of what you said can and most likely is true. And the thing about the Monday morning quarterback thing is, here's the thing. If we just can only be able to offer our opinions and our commentary and our perspective on only that which we personally know, only things that we have personally done, we are going to be severely limited on things we can ever talk about, because I guarantee you there's millions of shoes that I haven't been in. I would not be able to, let's say, Monday morning quarterback about Barack Obama or Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump or any politician. We would not even be able to talk about healthcare, because guess what? We're not in the shoes of Senator Cassidy, or we're not in the shoes of Nancy Pelosi or in the shoes of Chuck Schumer, but we still Monday morning quarterback because we analyze information and we come to conclusions about that.
So when you analyze the information, Gail, when you said that this officer may have not had another option, he was there with backup already. Calling for more backup wasn't an option. The only option may have been to shoot this guy. Now, again, I talked about the 5 or 6 shots. I think that's excessive. But when you juxtapose the actions that it seems like American police officers have with the actions of police officers in other countries, they seem to be able to apprehend criminals without killing them. So it's something, there's something that's like standard situations, standard behaviors of American police officers that is not like other countries. We kill more civilians than any other country. So I just have a hard time not Monday morning quarterback in that issue when you see other countries doing it very differently. We've seen videos of
I think she had something to say.
Go ahead.
Yes, she had something to say. You had something to say? I heard you kind of
yeah. I just feel now I'm retired, but my gut is telling me that there's more fear being a police officer nowadays than there was in the 80s and 90s when I was out there in the 70s, because there was more respect. You didn't expect people to hate you right away. The press gives you such bad, he probably shouldn't have shot 5 times. Why? I don't know. Did his fingers just stay on the trigger? Who knows? Was he that afraid? He just, like you said, tunnel vision, he was just doing it. We don't know. The thing is
it worse, or is it really worse, or is it just that there's more coverage of it, so you think it's worse?
Because that's what I would say too, because you have to think about the 60s, the 70s, the civil rights movement.
So you're saying they're more hated than the law enforcement was when they were, hosing people down in the civil rights movement? You think they're more hated now than then? Or is it just more, they're just more covered?
And we have more eyes on it.
I think maybe it's more people, more disrespect, everything from, the young kids being a little bit, they don't have the respect. And I just think maybe we are hearing it more, but my gut tells me the policemen out in the field is more nervous nowadays than they were in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Because if you look, not a lot of people were not murdered, but killed by police officers in those decades. We're now, in 2005 maybe and up, we're getting a lot of them. Why? Why are the police shooting more? And the only thing I can come up with is they are paranoid. They're afraid. They feel like
well, then don't
have any backup.
They shouldn't become a police officer then. Guess what? Even if what you say is true, and again, I'm not even going to take that away from you, because if that's in your gut and that's what you feel is true, hey, I can't. I'm not going to convince you. I can't convince you of otherwise. But if that is true, maybe those individuals should not become police officers. That's all I'm saying.
That's
all right, Gail,
true, but at the same time, there's a lot of people who will not take that test. They will not take that job. They don't want what's going on nowadays. They know they're going to lose their house. They're going to lose everything if they make a darn mistake, which we all make mistakes. Okay, I'll let you go. I really appreciate you guys. I've been listening to you for over a year. My brother turned me on to you over a year ago, and I love you guys. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you for your call, Gail, and you have a nice night, okay?
You too. Bye.
All right.
See, I mean, I appreciate her comments. I understand where she's coming from, especially as a law enforcement officer in her past. Some of the things, though, I didn't agree with. Like, you know, you were talking about the psychological testing. She was talking about the questioning, the background checks that they have to go through. That's not going to cut it all the time, because we've seen how officers have been outed as KKK members, or they've text messages. Wasn't that in San Francisco where there was a group of them sharing really hateful things towards black people?
And see what? And the thing is, I don't think. It's one of those. Like, there's a lot of things that are hard to measure. Like, to me, all I can take is her subjective and anecdotal perspective about kids being more disrespectful.
Oh, disrespectful.
I can't quantify that. I can't measure that. So there's no argument for or against that.
I think you can say
my thing is
like that because of the coverage, like we were saying,
and it may be like that because of the treatment also. I mean, because you can't. Again, maybe you can't measure it. You can't measure it, and maybe you're putting the cart before the horse. So my thing is, I'm pretty sure that, you know, in the state of New York, or the city of New York, I guess the New York Police Department performed, like, I forgot, it was over like a 10-year period. It was like over 800,000 stop and frisks, and the yield was the yield they got was very low. It was like 0.002% of did they find any illegal substance, illegal gun, or criminal activity. So I don't think that any level of disrespect encourages things like increased amount of asset forfeiture that's going on. I don't think any disrespect at all justifies any kind of police brutality, any kind of stop and frisk, any kind of broken windows policy, any kind of harassment. So again, it's like, even if the disrespect was high, that can actually be true. Even if I say, okay, Gail, I can see disrespect is high. Well, how about this? That has nothing to do with that has nothing to do with any forms of brutality that people face on a day-to-day basis, or anything that we call out. Both can be true. We can call out disrespect of law enforcement, and we can call out police brutality.
See, where I come in is like, I guess my criticism doesn't start and stop with the police officer that may have been guilty of bad policing. It's not with that police officer. It's about policy as well. Because just like she said, we're trained to shoot for the torso, right? Okay, that shouldn't be necessary all the time. But we are seeing police officers, for whatever reason, saying that they are scared, they're in fear for their lives, and they're killing people.
So basically, we have no problem with the tactical framework she outlined. No. But that tactical framework is not always utilized properly, or it's not utilized when it makes sense to utilize it.
And it's about policy. It is about training. It starts it starts outside of this incident that is going to pop up and somebody gets killed. And again, I always have to reflect to how other countries treat suspected criminals. They're trying to apprehend these people, whatever, even if they have a weapon, even if they're brandishing their weapon and they're coming at the police officers, in some way, shape, or form, they are able to not kill these people. So for some reason in America, that is not the case. That's not just because this individual officer decides that they want to be a cowboy. No, it goes back to what is policy, what is training, what are they being told to do.
Okay, I got you. I don't think we have any more calls coming through, and there's not really any questions in the chat that I feel like I want to dip into. Our
latest patron on Patreon is Kathy Gilchrist. So thank you very much, Kathy, for contributing to our program. This is the lifeblood right here. This in YouTube, of course. That's why we need to get more views on YouTube. We need more of an audience. We need more people in here chatting it up with other viewers and calling into the program so we can have, a back and forth discussion. Even though, just like with Gail, some things we disagreed with what she said, but we damn sure appreciate her comments, and we damn sure appreciate that she was able to call in and share her view
calmly
of the situation,
and respectfully.
Right. That's all about what debate is. We're not always going to agree, but if we're able to broach these issues and talk about them intellectually, calmly, respect each other's positions and opinions, I think we'll be good. So like I said, we're just trying to increase the audience, increase this community, get more eyes on this thing so we can grow. That's the ultimate goal here.
Right.
So anybody that helps us out, whether it be financial, or if you're sharing our posts, sharing our videos on your social media platforms, talking about us, whatever, we damn sure appreciate it. Thankful for everything that you do for us. So that's gonna close out another show.
Man.
Another LTMB.
It was
live.
A good show, bro.
I
felt like this was a classic.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Got to a lot of issues. Healthcare was very in depth.
Oh my goodness.
Very in depth.
Well, that's how it's got to be.
Yeah. And if you can contribute to the program too, it's at patreon.com/LTMB, and of course we will shout you out on the next show. And we were just talking about other goodies or something like that for people that contribute.
Yeah.
We got to update that Patreon site. We got some plans.
But I guess this is it. Unless y'all want to head over to Facebook for the little after show, and it's Thursday, so we're gonna theme it a little bit. We call it Throwback Thursday. We might play some old school or some 80s hits, you know what I'm saying, while we chatting it up with y'all. So if y'all want to join us, relax environment. If y'all want to head over to,
we don't have those glasses yet.
Oh,
remember
true.
People are suggesting the martini glasses, or we don't have that type of ambiance yet.
Yeah, we'll get that together.
But yeah, I appreciate everybody that was here for the show. Thank you for watching, and tune in next week, Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for another one. LTMB out.
Peace.